Okay, let's go for another 5-minute game against Yon 606. Don't know who that is, obviously. So we're going to go e5, e4, e5, and we're going to go for the old Rio Lopez. Trying to play relatively classical chess so far today, at the very least. And obviously here there are a lot of options for black, ranging from more aggressive with b5 or bishop c5 or knight e4 to more solid as he plays with bishop e7. Rook e1, b5. Yeah, these lines have been discussed for over 100 years at the very least, at the highest level. Now again, number of options for black here. My favorite for many years was knight b8, and then knight bd7, the Breyer system. Also bishop b7, and then rook e8. The Zaitsev system is very popular, as well as knight to a5, the Chigorin system. They all have different advantages and drawbacks. Yeah, this one I'm not that sure about. With rook e8, there is a line where you go knight d7, but I think you usually wait for knight bd2, because here I get to develop the knight to c3, and I think that should be an advantage for me. Usually in the Rio Lopez, you develop the knight to d2. But that is mostly because you're not allowed to put the knight on c3 in one go. g6 is very reasonable. Preparing a possible bishop f8 and bishop g7, rerouting that bishop, and also closing the diagonal of my bishop on c2. I think I may just take the chance, though, to go bishop h6 in one go. And after bishop f8, I do feel as though the weakened dark squares may become a serious issue for him. So I'm going to go queen d2, develop. And now if knight c4, there was queen h6. Also, I think after b4, there was knight d5, which should be favorable for me. Now I do have a bit of a decision to make, though. e5 is tempting because of the tactic d5, d5, bishop f3. I can take on f6 or queen d8 and then take on f6 with check, taking the bishop later on f3, winning a full piece. The question is, if he goes for something like knight h5, is that really favorable to me? I don't know, but it's kind of tempting, so we'll see. Probably d5 and then knight h5 is good, now that I think about it. Yeah, this was this was probably not quite correct. But at least he's set some concrete challenges. Wow, knight d5 is actually a very nice move. And this is a big if he sees the point. So knight d5 would look like it's just winning a piece because the knight on a5 is hanging. But he has this very nice intermediate move knight c4, attacking my queen. After which he'll take back the knight later on, and additionally he will get a very nice outpost for the bishop on d5, as well as improving the knight on a5, which was on the edge. So I'm not really sure if that is favorable for me at all. I do have other options, like b3 maybe, restricting the knight on a5, or also bishop to e4. I think I'm gonna play b3 to probably keep as much tension as possible and try and induce a mistake here. For instance, now I think c5, which looks very logical, may be a huge mistake because of knight e4. Then if d5, I think knight c5 is good, and if cd4, knight d6 is very good, and his position will probably collapse. So it turns out, since he did not respond to this threat, probably the move knight d5 on the last move was more lucky than good. Sorry to say. And now he will have bishop f3, somewhat ruining my king side, but it is nowhere near enough. And after knight e5, now I can meet queen g5 very comfortably with bishop e4, and there are just no chances for him. Bishop e6 is a decent move, but now bishop e4 is quite unpleasant. I'm going to win, I think, even more material, either one more pawn, as in this instance, with the c7 hanging, and now d4 is not hanging because of queen takes f7. Or there were also in other lines, the pawn on a6 was hanging, for instance, if he moves his rook. And now, again, I think we have the old mopping up job. Queen e7 looks decent. Now if rook e8, if he keeps chasing, I will go queen c5, offering a queen trade under, I think, quite favorable circumstances, as I would get a passed pawn. And after he moves his queen, I can just, queen d4 is probably even better. Knight c6 was also nice. After queen g4, there should be a decisive, queen c7, there should be a decisive discovered check, probably knight g4. It's reasonable. This, now, he may not be mated immediately because he has f6, but at the very least he loses his queen, and now there's mate in 1. Okay, interesting game there. I think my opponent's play was reasonable there. It was just one tactic that was missed, which lost him the knight.